Okay, Victor said, but they didn't take turns. Victor drove for 16 hours straight north, made it halfway up Nevada before he finally pulled over. Hey, Thomas, Victor said, you gotta drive for a while. Okay. Thomas builds the fire, slid behind the wheel, and stared off down the road. All through Nevada, Thomas and Victor had been amazed at the lack of animal life, at the absence of water, of movement. Where is everything? Victor had asked more than once. Now when Thomas was finally driving, they saw the first animal, maybe the only animal in Nevada. It was a long-eared jackrabbit. Look, Victor yelled, it's alive! Thomas and Victor were busy congratulating themselves on their discovery when the jackrabbit darted out into the road and under the wheels of the pickup. Stop the gosh darn car, Victor yelled, and Thomas did stop, backed the pickup to the dead jackrabbit. Oh man, he's dead, Victor said, as he looked at the squashed animal. Really dead? The only thing alive in this whole state, and we just killed it. I don't know, Thomas said. I think it was suicide. Victor looked around the desert, sniffed the air, and felt the emptiness and loneliness, and nodded his head. Yeah, Victor said. It had to be suicide. I can't believe this, Thomas said. You drive for 1,000 miles, and there ain't even any bugs smashed on the windshield. I drive for 10 seconds and killed the only living thing in Nevada. Yeah, Victor said. Maybe I should drive. Maybe you should. Thomas builds the fire, walked through the corridors of the tribal school by himself. Nobody wanted to be anywhere near him because of all those stories. Story after story. Thomas closed his eyes, and this story came to him. We are all given one thing by which our lives are measured, one determination. Mine are the stories which can change or not change the world. It doesn't matter which, as long as I continue to tell the stories. My father, he died on Okinawa in World War II, died fighting for this country, which had tried to kill him for years. My mother, she died giving birth to me, died while I was still inside her. She pushed me out into the world with her last breath. I have no brothers or sisters. I have only my stories, which come to me before I even had the words to speak. I learned 1,000 stories before I took my first 1,000 steps. They are all I have. It's all I can do. Thomas Builds the Fire told his stories to all those who would stop and listen. He kept telling them long after people had stopped listening. Victor and Thomas made it back to the reservation just as the sun was rising. It was the beginning of a new day on Earth. Good morning, Thomas said. Good morning. The tribe was waking up, ready for work, eating breakfast, reading the newspaper, just like everybody else does. Wileen Lebret was out in her garden wearing a bathrobe. She waved when Thomas and Victor drove by. Crazy Indians made it, she said to herself, and went back to her roses. Victor stopped the pickup in front of Thomas Builds the Fire's HUD house. They both yawned, stretched a little, shook dust from their bodies. I'm tired, Victor said. Of everything, Thomas added. They both searched for the words to end the journey. Victor needed to thank Thomas for his help, for the money, and make the promise to pay it all back. Don't worry about the money, Thomas said. It don't make any difference anyhow. Probably not, in it? Nope. Victor knew that Thomas would remain the crazy storyteller who talked to dogs and cars, who listened to the wind and pine trees. Victor knew that he couldn't really be friends with Thomas even after all that had happened. It was cruel, but it was real as the ashes, as Victor's father, sitting behind the seats. I know how it is, Thomas said. I know you ain't going to treat me any better than you did before. I know your friends would give you too much trouble. Victor was ashamed of himself. Whatever happened to the tribal ties, the sense of community? The only real thing he shared with anybody was a bottle and broken dreams. He owed Thomas something, anything. Listen, Victor said, and handed Thomas the cardboard box, which contained half of his father. I want you to have this. Thomas took the ashes and smiled, closed his eyes, and told this story. I'm going to travel to Spokane Falls one last time and toss these ashes into the water, and your father will rise like a salmon, leap over the bridge, over me, and find his way home. It will be beautiful. His teeth will shine like silver, like a rainbow. He will rise, Victor. He will rise. Victor smiled. I was planning on doing the same thing with my half, Victor said, but I didn't imagine my father looking anything like a salmon. I thought it'd be like cleaning the attic or something, like letting things go after they've stopped having any use. Nothing stops, cousin, Thomas said. Nothing stops. Thomas Builds the Fire got out of the pickup and walked up his driveway. Victor started the pickup and began the drive home. Wait, Thomas yelled suddenly from the porch. I just gotta ask one favor. Victor stopped the pickup, leaned out the window, and shouted back, What do you want? Just one time, when I'm telling a story somewhere. Why don't you stop and listen? Thomas asked. Just once? Just once. Victor waved his arms to let Thomas know that the deal was good. It was a fair trade, and that was all Victor had ever wanted from his whole life. So Victor drove his father's pickup toward home while Thomas went into his house, closed the door behind him, and heard a new story come to him in the silence after.